now we are properly good here. Everything has been set. The settings are good. And here we are spawning in the bottom left. We're going to do this one more time for YouTube. It's good. Spawning in the bottom left in the blue on the new patch in 0.5. He is from Bulgaria, the Infernal player. It's Msrm. And in the upper right in the red, the Celestial player from Poland. It's Aureil. Now, if you're watching this and you say, hey, Beo, what in the world are all of these things on the map? Well, apparently there are. Effigy's not, I don't even see an effigy. Well, oh, there's the effigy. Yeah, apparently, I guess there's a bug where if you put it right on top of the structure, there is an unclickable effigy, which is unfortunate there. But you might be asking, hey, Beo, what in the world's happening here? If you haven't been paying attention to the patch notes. What is this? Well, this is a healing shrine. There are no creep camps anymore, but this healing shrine goes and, Wellspring, I guess, goes and heals everything around it within this green aura. But most importantly, what the hell is this thing? This is a Stormgate. It spawns every 3.5 minutes. It goes and you get rewards out of it if you're able to do more damage, sufficiently more damage than your opponent. It's pretty cool. So for now, because there are no creep camps, we're seeing a lot of this pressure kick off in the early game. This has been something that has become very strong in 0.5. I don't think we're technically on 0.51 just yet, but there was a hot fix yesterday that did have some balance considerations. And one of them did nerf the new certs, so top prayer abilities are gone, right? There's a lot to explain in this patch. Top prayer abilities are gone, but you do get a modified surge from your collection array that goes and means that you buff your production speed or your movement speed, your healing on structures for 15 seconds, and then you get worse than the base standard. So it's very good for like getting a couple Argents out early. And then of course your second set are not going to be as strong, but you go poke with this. Before the patch, it was really strong and you would just, it felt very difficult to hold onto a lot of things. But this is cool, but I'm dumb. I forgot about the trees. I've been playing a lot on this map and I've been putting my shroud around the outside edge to go get your third base down. But well, Snoxter knows what, or Msrm knows what's up. He's just going to cut right on through, but it is 3 minutes. And the shrouds, or the, not the shrouds, the Stormgates are going to get ready in about 30 seconds. So the question now is, how are we getting ready for that? We got 4 Argents, a couple more on the way. Looks like they're all surged up. And on the other side, couple Brutes, couple Gaunts. No Hellforge though. So we've been seeing a lot of Infernal players play towards this Hellforge timing. And if you open up 10-10, you can pretty much get a Hellforge, get charge up by the time the Shrouds don't get started. That's not what Msrm is going for, and with the amount of Argents that are here, they can actually do something pretty cool where they start with 0 energy, but if they hit the Shrouds, or if they hit the Stormgate, they actually end up going and they charge their energy up a little bit, so that can be very nice to play into this fight. And yes, you might be saying, okay, what's happening here? Why is there no sound? That's a bug. This is a known bug right now where, for whatever reason, sound doesn't play around the Stormgates, which is a little bit unfortunate, but so it goes. For right now, though, it's a lot of damage Aureil's been able to pump in here, but tug of war getting started, and this is where life gets a little bit more difficult because it's a really important question. Like, do you attack the Stormgate or do you go deal with your opponent's army? And for right now, Msrm just has more stuff. He's doing more damage, so he's going to claim the first Stormgate here, and kind of to see. We don't know what he has available to him. We're going to pay attention to that thing in just a second, and he is going to take himself a Soul Forge, but it looks like he's holding on to it. So, Soul Forges, I don't have all of these down just yet, but Soul Forges, if I remember correctly, these are the ones that let you clone units. So it's very tempting to say, I'm going to go for this on tier 1. That sounds great. But instead, he's going to hold on to this for tier 2. And actually, with the very, very quick Twilight Spire, we might see him try to turtle up to Flay Dragon, like double dragons pretty early on tier 3, which is kind of a cool idea. By the way, my OBS is telling me my frames are overloading. Unfortunately, there's no DLSS in Stormgate 0.5 for whatever reason. So let me know if the performance on stream is good. It looks fine in my preview whenever I look at it, but let me know if that's not quite smooth enough and we'll try to figure some stuff out. But for now, again, we're waiting on that Soul Forge to get used. And in the meantime, well, Aureil continues to tech up. So third base done. Moving up onto the jump jets, whatever that new upgrade is called. Not long shot module. This is a bug. There we go. Okay, heaven step. Yeah, that's not a bug, I guess, but we're waiting on heaven step, which is a great big dash forward, and it can mean these Argents can put themselves into some fairly nice positions. Does the top bar energy column mean anything at all? Not really. This is a leftover from the previous patch. You do have energy on the shrines that you can use to go and drop a hell spawn or drop effigies, or go and eventually do a much more powerful shroud fall at tier 3. But as it stands, it doesn't really mean much. So when did they remove DLSS? It's disabled for 0.5. It was a little bit buggy in 0.4, Milosh. I don't know if it is intentionally disabled in 0.5 or whether it's a bug. But as of right now in 0.5, we just have to use base rendering, which means I'm rendering this in 4K, so it's a little bit rendering Stormgate in 4K is a little bit awkward. But there we go. There's our double dragon timing. Even pretty much right as the second Stormgate's getting ready. So second Stormgate's gonna spawn in just about 15 seconds. It doesn't spawn quite at 7 minutes. It takes a couple seconds to render in, but Aureil's in for a bit of a pickle because there are 2 dragons on the map, and he's just looking at a bunch of Argent Creed. This is a very difficult scenario. This is one of those things that we're looking at when we're talking about Stormgate. And like the new Stormgate mechanic is, are these mechanics fair? Are all, or not even the mechanics, are the rewards fair or not? Because I look at this, I'm like, yeah, there's no way Aureil's supposed to hold on to this. Yeah, this is just, you have 2 dragons, your opponent's on tier 1. Now there's a Cabal on the map, and that has gone and a gravity flux to one of these dragons, but the problem is there's just, it's too much of everything else. So you have the 2 dragons on top of it with combined 1400 HP, 180 damage a pop, and there really is not a lot that Aureil can do. So our first look at Stormgates here in the Celestial versus Infernal matchup is not even dealing with the second Stormgate. It's getting some aggro, so the rally is going to actually claim the second one as it runs across, but not even mattering. All right, the Soul Forge, the Soul Stone giving 2 Flayed Dragons, or Soul's Forge, I guess. Giving 2 Flayed Dragons is just way too strong as now the second Stormgate gets captured, and that's going to give a Dark Throne. This, I think, is actually probably the most broken thing. You can just get yourself a free base. Not that it really matters. Aureil is going to fall down to the Double Dragon. Game 1 goes the way of Msrm. Now we're into game number 2. It's a 1-1, or we can call it a 1-1. We can call it a 10-10 opening coming out of Msrm. Double effigy going down. Just make sure that you can get these vaults out as quickly as possible. Right now, you can assign all bases under 1 control group and just use that as him. So, okay, there were questions about like using the new quick macro top bar abilities. And what I've been doing is I just auto control group or auto hotkey all of my shrines to hotkey 5, and then it's fine. Like, you're good. It's effectively the same thing. In fact, it's a little easier to use than top bar just because it's less buttons to press. But yeah, that is definitely something that needs to be refined, I think, a little bit. My guess the Soul Forge will be limited to tier 2 and below. I think Soul Forge should just be a later upgrade. Because like, I am fine if we are at maxed out supply and someone gets a Soul Forge and, you know, gets a really cool tier 3 unit. That's really cool. But getting a Soul Forge at 3.5 minutes and then rushing up to tier 3 by 5 minutes and getting 2 of these very expensive big units, that's where it's a little broken. So like getting a single Soul Forge at the tier 3 Shroud Stone or the tier 3 Stormgate, I think I'm okay with that. It's when it's like tier 1, right? It's just a little awkward. But yeah, as Simon Carroll says, this is the inviting 2K players phase. This is that we are in early access. Well, Guac, they do cost resources, unless you're talking like Luminite Therium, but they do cost resources. You know, effigy costs energy. In fact, I find it very difficult to cast Hellspawn because I'm dropping effigy so much because they're so important in fights and they're so important as you try to expand, right? Because you need Shroud on top of your structure so that they can actually build. So I like they do cost resources. You do not get a lot of energy off of these command posts or town halls. But for now, okay, it's going to be a Seraphim opener coming out of Aureil in this game number 2. And that is going to go shut down the Brute Harass just a little bit. By the way, as we're getting set up here, I think it's fun to point out just how impactful adding the rim lighting is. I don't think it's done yet. From what Jesse Brophy was saying, a lot of the stuff that they're doing is only tier 1. Or is only like, they've done a baseline setup, but it's not a lot more. So for now, Seraphim are showing up on the other side here, and we're going to get a lot of gaunts on the map to try to defend. Meanwhile, Powerbank will get taken down, but Powerbanks don't really matter as much anymore. You're not harassing Powerbanks because it messes with the Aureil or with the Celestial macro. You're just doing it so the Seraphim don't have as much starting energy, right? It's not nearly as big of a deal.
Has appeared.
So the Seraphim are going to run forward, and Seraphim no longer creeps, right? Sure, but they do bonus damage to the Stormgates. So as we can see here, they are taking these Stormgates very, very quickly. And the benefit of that is not only that it is, oh, you can get the Stormgates very quickly. That's a lot. That's a decent amount of map control. That's pretty nice. Oh, hey, now we can see it on the other side. Immediately we should see going up to tier 3 here as the Arc Station already on the way to an Arc Fortress. Yeah, so we're going to see double Archangel coming out very early into this game. That's something. Yeah, love me effigies and gates and rank ups. I'm with you, him and Carol. I think they're interesting spells for the most part. Eon gates apparently are super broken per monk in their testing, but you never know. And like promote micro is fantastic. Like big fan of promote micro. Seeing that in fights is always fun. The effigies are important. They're thematic. So like I don't know that I'm down with like, oh, they shouldn't be global, but effigy on Hexen and on a building. Promote can be moved to the trash can. Nah, guillotine. I like promote. I think promote is actually some pretty cool micro. Oh, that's a good idea, Farfooey. Talking about the totems here, right? Because we're going to go get an Archangel out. And we're going to have 2 Archangels popping very soon. It probably just makes sense. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Tier 1 Soulforge. Oh, excuse me. Tier 1 Soulforge just goes. And there we go. There's our double Archangels. Tier 1 Soulforge would only allow for the cloning of Tier 1 units. Tier 2 Soulforge allows cloning of Tier 1 and Tier 2. And Tier 3 Soulforge would allow for the cloning of Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. That is a great idea. So, by the way, Msrm knows this is happening. He's gotten the full scout out off this. He's got himself a couple Shadow Flyers in the air. They're going to trigger on the first Archangel. Decent amount of anti-armor there, but now they're going to crash down on top of things. Brutes are going to try to join the fray. They do not have charge, so they do not stun. They do not lock things down, but even still, that is a ton of gaunts on the map. Msrm was being very conscientious with holding on to his Hellspawn Resurgence, and he's actually going to hold on to this thing pretty nicely. Now, his mining, I think he lost a lot of imps. He's got 3 more here. Okay, maybe it's not that bad. I think he lost a decent amount of imps in the defense. Now, there are so many gaunts on the map right now. They do not have Reaper Rush. In fact, it's on the upgrade tab now, but it's not done. Please let me click on that. There we go. But now we're looking at 2 Archangels, and it's all about the crash downs here, so you can get on top of these big, well, not these big, but these very squishy units. And Avatar Form is going to get popped now as well, looking for the splash damage, looking for the heal, but Msrm is just kind of smashing him. Even with the OPOP Soulforge ability, it's just not enough here. Not really. So Aureil's going to be forced to tap out game 2. And right as the Stormgate starts to get ready, Msrm goes up 2 games to 0. DTs do not do AoE damage, Buttersman, but now we're into game number 3. And we saw the Seraphim opener take the first Stormgate, save a Soulforge, and go into tier 2. I tried to go get the double Archangel timing, but it just was not enough damage. And the big thing there is just getting a couple Shadow Flyers meant that the Archangels were down about 50. They were at like minus 50 armor when they took the attack, and that means that, well, Curse does bonus damage, right? With the armor applies, affects all damage, right? There's no concept of physical and magical damage where, like in StarCraft 2, magic damage is unaffected by armor one way or the other. That's not how it works here. So Curse was doing bonus damage. You had just a lot of units attacking fairly quickly, which is when, well, we're going to say when armor is more effective, but that's not quite as true because it's percentage based. Armor is percentage based, not flat damage reduction like it is in StarCraft 2. But you had the minus armor there on top of these units. And even with the haircuts that Archangels got, they're no longer quite the beefy boys they used to be. So Msrm held onto the Hellforge. He was not, or the Hellspawn, he was not dropping effigies everywhere. And that meant that the attack just didn't quite get enough done. The counter to rushing tier 3 should be counterattacking while they're teching, but there doesn't seem to be enough time. Not necessarily that there's not enough time. It's more that on a lot of these maps, and I hope we're going to see a little bit, this is going to be edited and interrupted and changed a little bit more once we get community-made maps, is that it's just between how strong some defensive utility Stormgate still has and how small the base concentration can be sometimes. If your opponent doesn't want to be on the map and is just turtling, it can be very hard to... Now, you can try to bust them, but counterattacking them is a difficult thing. Because, like, they're just sitting back at home. A counterattack is mostly viable when you go and you... I'm not sure why that we have colors on Cascade Fields. I mean, I don't know what the energy is doing here, but anyways... because again, energy doesn't do anything, right? There's no energy. Aureil's like negative. Yeah, that's got to be a bug left over, like just as part of the Celestial rework. But point being is that it, like because you're turtling and teching, it's very hard. You have to go for a bust, otherwise it's not going to work. Wait, does a Soul Forge give 2 and it's less than 4 supply? Is that actually how that works? I thought it was just 1 for 1. Did I just misread the patch notes? I mean, I think it's still more efficient to go and just get the big beefy unit that's impactful, but did I misread the patch notes? Part of the reason tier 3 rush is viable, it's also
a Stormgate has appeared.
I think we tech up too fast in this game. Currently. And this is some of the feedback I've given the developers, especially when they went and made that patch. They said, we don't, people are like, think the teching is a little bit too slow. I'm like, okay, sure, no. We need more time to live in tier 1, tier 2, and not into tier 3. But now, so we're going to see Argent goes in, pokes down. There we go, pokes down the effigy. Second one gets dropped, though. And I think also these effigies, the cooldowns, if you drop them off Shroud, should once again be fairly high. You should be rewarded for being able to micro down and kill off that first effigy. As by the way, sorry for the zoom. There is a little bit of a bug where sometimes when you middle mouse scroll, you just like zoom in all the way, and I'm not totally sure why that is. But wait, do I have? Oh, there we go. All right, there we go. That's fixed. I'm like, why? I know there's a bug around the Stormgates, but they're definitely that sounds too quiet. So okay. That should be a little bit better, but for right now, with the effigies down and just a couple gaunts there on defense, it's very hard to fight into this. But the goal, if you're Aureil, especially with this early game power of our, by the way, 2-base player, is you're not trying to go as a, charge is done now, but you're not trying to go and necessarily get the Stormgate. You're trying to prevent your opponent from getting the Stormgate. All right, that's the kind of go for the ebb and flow right now. And he's not going to be able to do it in time. So Stormgate's now done. It's a little bit spooky, and you're going to have to back up. Actually, dash. Oh, Aureil, I don't like that one. Dashes forward on top, takes the counter charge in response, and now Aureil is in a very awkward position here. I didn't see. Yep. Okay, it's going to be Soul Forge once again, but I think Aureil may just be dead right now. He dashed forward straight on top of this army, and now he's going to lose a whole hell of a lot. And behind this, well, we should start to see. Yeah, I'm going to assume we should see a Twilight Spire soon. So that'll be up to the tier 3 with the Soul Forge as Msrm continues to build on into that. But for right now, he is in a very awkward spot. Hero Sand saying fast turrets are way too strong. I don't think the turrets are too strong anymore. Maybe Vanguard turrets a little bit, but strike nodes take forever to come up. They're not super strong. And Shroud Stones just get annihilated. They don't do a lot of DPS. Well, they do 47 damage burst, but they don't really do enough They don't attack very quickly at all. So I will agree with you that maybe the rush distance natural to natural is too slow. Even if the distance, everything else is fine. Maybe they need to be kind of compressed natural to natural a little bit. But I don't think that I don't think the towers are too strong right now. As we can see right here, Msrm had no issues busting the Celestial player. But I do think his tech is way too fast. The fact that you can get up to tier 3 in like 5 minutes is just... I don't think that should be possible. I think we need time to live in the mid game. For now, though, it doesn't really matter. The game is, well, I was gonna say functionally over, but this has been a fairly nice defense from Aureil at this point as he dashed forward trying to kill off more of the Gaunts. Did lose the third base, which is unfortunate, but there is another third base on the way.
A Stormgate has appeared.
Where are we on? Getting up to tier 3. Twilight Spire is done as the Soul Forge is being brought out. Kind of awkward here because Msrm desperately, he wants to get himself up to the Elder. All right, that's the goal. Get yourself up to Elder Shrine. That's great. You're going to get the Soul Forge. You're going to get the Double Dragon. However, if Aureil really pushes the attack forward, you would like to be able to go and like get double Magmadon or something. For now, the cool thing here is that Aureil lost the tier 1 Stormgate, which means he has double damage and a little bit more vision around the tier 2. And I would really like, because he knows he's going to be under the gun of a dragon fairly soon. I would love I forget exactly what they are, the rock throwers, what they're called. I think if he could get that, it'd be very cool to just get a little bit more very strong anti-air, as Aureil seems to be considering things a little bit, and he's not going to go for that. Instead, it's the Cosmic Drifter, which is our beautiful drop unit that can take 16 slots. Yeah, 16 slots. It is, you can fit so much harass in this bad boy. They should add more rewards to Stormgate to make it more diverse. Yeah, they're planning on it. This first idea of, this first iteration of Stormgates is, well, it's the first iteration. They're already talking about things they would like to go add in more and try things out. I mean, this is there's a reason why actually we're not seeing a big marketing push in 0.5 as well. And that is really because this is a first version. It's not initially the version that you want to be bringing a bunch of people into the game for. But for now, Double Dragon's on the map. Cabal research is just about done, I think. Yep, there we go. So it was overloaded. It was surged up, which means you can get the Cabals out. We should start to see some Cabals starting forward. As this fourth base will die to Double Dragons doing 280 damage a second. Ooh, drops forward here, tries to get on top of the dragon, but, well, the Argents are not fully set up just yet. They're not fully energized. And do we have any Cabals in the field? The answer is no. Maybe Aureil, I don't know, maybe he just canceled them, but he's got a bunch of Kree in the Cosmic Drifter here, trying to get on top of the backside of this, and this is a tanky Drifter. He's gonna go, though. He's just gonna lose everything. Yep, never mind. That was kind of cool. I thought he was gonna go for a big flank, but instead he has died. Can't run straight through Double Dragon, 180 damage a hit, and expect for it to work out. He dies. Msrm moves on to the winner's match. Of course, if you like this, you want to see the development of Stormgate and see what's going to happen, make sure you go hit that sub button. And I'll catch you next time.